Hi guys, welcome back to Holistic Soul Sister. My name is Mandy Rose. I'm a holistic health coach, spiritual mentor, and astrologer, and I am the writer and author of the 2021 Retrograde Astrology Journal. And today's video, we are going to talk all about Mercury Retrograde. And I know this is a topic that so many people have heard about. It's become mainstream in pop culture, like, oh no, it's Mercury Retrograde season. Watch out, be careful. And today I'm going to break it all down for you guys, what it means and what specifically is going to be happening during this cycle of Mercury retrograde happening in Aquarius. So let's dive right in. So Mercury retrograde will be happening from January 30th until February 20th. And during this time, Mercury, which is the planet and the ruler of communication, social groups, technology, travel, will be going backwards in the sky. So what does that even mean, right? So let's break it down with what does a retrograde even mean? I know this term still confuses a lot of people, so I want to break it down for you guys. Retrograde simply means that the planet, from our perspective on planet Earth, the planet itself doesn't change course. The planet out there in the universe continues on its path. And from our perspective on Earth, it looks like the planet is going backwards in the sky, and we call it a retrograde. So essentially, you know that the sun and the moon, every single day when you wake up, rises in the east, sets in the west. We see that happen every single day. It's a pattern, right? The sun and the moon never go retrograde. However, the other planets, based on the spinning of the Earth and the tilting of the Earth, we can wake up one day and see, let's say, for instance, Mercury, the star in the sky, from our eyes, and it looks like every day it just slowly kind of goes from east to west, just like the sun and the moon. But then all of a sudden one day you come outside and you're like, yesterday was here, and instead of going here, which I thought it was going to do, all of a sudden it goes that way instead. And that just simply means that Mercury has gone retrograde. Now, energetically, as an astrologer, what that indicates to us is that that planet, which every planet, by the way, if you didn't know this, is considered a life coach. And it life coaches us in different areas of our life. And so Mercury, our life coach, is asking us to go inward and to go backwards and to reevaluate something in our life. So when you hear the word retrograde, R-E, retrograde, think of any word that really starts with R-E. Reanalyze, reassess, redo, recommit, re-understand. Like there's some part of our life that planet is saying, stop, pause, do not keep going. We need to really take a second to evaluate what is going on so that we can make better decisions moving forward. And so when Mercury goes retrograde, we have to be mindful of this period of time because this is going to help us better understand what our next move is going to be. And when Mercury goes retrograde, we look at what zodiac sign is it making its little dance backwards through, okay? And this season, it's going to be Aquarius. And this is monumental. If you caught my full moon in Leo video or the Aquarius season video, or really anything that I've talked about in the last 6 months, the age of Aquarius is upon us. And this is a pivotal time. We are changing course. We are changing direction as humanity, as souls on this earth, and going into this new era and this new cycle of Aquarius. And so to have our first Mercury retrograde of 2021 in the official age of Aquarius happening in the zodiac sign of Aquarius, this is like a big lesson for us to really stop and pause and go, okay, what does Aquarius mean? What are the themes of Aquarius? So Aquarius rules humanitarianism, it rules social groups, it rules innovation and technology, it rules societal norms. And so with Mercury being the planet of communication and travel and technology, meeting up with the zodiac sign of Aquarius, which is humanitarianism, technology, like the internet, and our social groups and our social circles, we are being asked right now to stop, pause, and reevaluate these parts of our life. Do you feel it? I bet you already feel this. I bet you're already thinking, how am I using my time on social media? Does it feel good? Does it feel bad? Is the things that I'm doing helping others, or does it just feel like I'm running in circles because all I'm concerned about is myself? Are you starting to reevaluate your social circle and the people that you spend time with? And does it bring you joy? And is it going to take you into the next chapter of your life? These are things we've already collectively been feeling as a society. And now with Mercury going retrograde, it's really going to start feeling and weighing on us. Now, if you have your 2021 retrograde journal, I want you to go ahead and open it up and look for Mercury retrograde. When you look at retrogrades in this journal, the way that I format it is to best help you during the entire season. So you can fill out the journal prompts on day 1 of the retrograde, or you could fill it out in the middle or even at the end. I suggest filling it out towards the beginning, and then by the end of the retrograde, going back to your journal answers and seeing if maybe you had a change of perspective, okay? So first I said, what is Mercury retrograde? It'll help give you guys a better definition of what it means. Then I talk about Aquarius. What zodiac sign is Mercury going retrograde in? This year, Mercury retrograde is happening all in air signs. There's 3 of them happening this year, which is very typical. Mercury goes retrograde very often. It is a planet that is close to us on planet Earth and has a really big impact on us individually. And so we go through this perspective, this pausing, this period of introspection on our life 3 times a year. So it's going to be happening in Aquarius, then it will be happening in Gemini, and then later in the year it will be happening in the sign of Libra. So what is specifically meant to teach us in Aquarius, you will learn about in the journal here, and then the lesson down below to kind of sum it all up. Now, when you go to the other page, because every retrograde will have 2 pages in this journal, it will have the do's and the don'ts, so things to be mindful of. For instance, you do want to make sure that before this Mercury retrograde season happens, back up all your technology. Back up your passwords. Make sure you have your verification on your passwords. We're very likely to get hacked during a Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, especially because there's many other planets that are going to be hanging out with Mercury in Aquarius as this show goes down. So we will have the sun there. Eventually we will have the moon there. Venus is going to be hanging out there as well. So you have major players hanging out and dancing around Mercury trying to teach us a lesson. So make sure you're really prepared for this. Make sure that you double check any travel plans. It's not a good idea in Mercury retrogrades to sign contracts because we're not supposed to be doing anything new. Retrogrades are meant to pull back and rethink things and reevaluate before we move forward. So unless you absolutely have to sign a contract, you absolutely have to book travel, unless you absolutely have to, and even when you do, double check, reread it, rebook, know the contingency plans because it could come back after the retrograde is over and life starts to move forward to bite you in the butt. So it's really, really important to make sure that you have these things really locked and sealed before the retrograde begins. Also, Mercury retrogrades affect our technology. So with your phone, I highly, highly suggest that you back up any stored data, back up your photos, back up anything that's important because technology can go a little wonky on us during a Mercury retrograde. And also, during Mercury retrogrades, you're very likely to receive texts from old people because we're reevaluating, right? It's kind of like going back in time. So old exes, old friends, old people in your life, you can tend to hear from them during a Mercury retrograde. And since Aquarius rules our social groups, this is even more monumental. Also, you don't want to put any big projects out into the world during a Mercury retrograde because that communication piece is missing, that ability to connect with others, because we're not supposed to be going outwards, we're supposed to be going inwards. So launching a new project, launching something new. And this is why it's so important, guys, to know when these retrogrades are happening so you can map out your year. And that was the point of this journal. So you can see like, oh boy, coming up at the end of May, we're gonna have another Mercury retrograde. I better get my contract signed. I better get my projects rolling. Communication, because it's so wonky during this 3-week period, it's really important to foster the communication in your relationships with your significant others and your friends and your family before. Get on the same page, have the tough conversations. Do it before because during Mercury retrograde, it's like you're speaking one language and the other person is speaking another and you just can't understand each other. Like you literally could be talking about the same thing and be on the same page, but like your words aren't able to like match. So be really careful with that as well. And then I wrote what to expect to happen, and it's a perfect time too. So you can put some things on your calendar that will harness this energy. So for instance, get in touch with old friends because Aquarius rules our social circles. Reconnect with those people that you miss. Were there a bunch of friends you had like in an art class and you just lost touch with them because life gets busy? Connect with them now. Reorganize your messy hard drive or computer files, anything you can go back and like reorganize and collect yourself before you move forward with more projects, right? Or double check any contracts or travel plans that you might have coming up. So hopefully this helps you guys. I want to go with just a little bit more specific. So I know a lot of people hear Mercury retrograde and like freak out because it's like meant to be like scary or, oh no, life is going to be horrible. That's not it. Think of it as just like a lesson you're meant to learn during this time. So if something happens, breathe and say, what am I supposed to learn? What is this supposed to be teaching me? Because that's really what the planets are doing. Astrology is not meant to like predict your future or like, this is absolutely going to happen to you. It's simply saying that if it does, then you can understand maybe the deeper meaning behind it instead of just getting pissed off that you got a flat tire. It's like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't ignore the fact that my tire's been low for a while and I need to be more mindful of the details in my life. Or you texted the wrong person something. This can happen. Be very careful during a Mercury retrograde when you send text messages that you don't text the wrong person. This happens so often. I warn people of it all the time, and they'll send me a text like in the middle of Mercury retrograde and be like, oops, it happened. So just be mindful, right? And also maybe think about doing a little social media purge, you know, go through your followers and say what people don't connect with me. As we move into this age of Aquarius, we are going to be having new social circles. We're going to be drawn to new people and new ideas and new concepts and new things that we don't even know in this moment that we're going to be interested in. So the only way that we can let in the new and go into this new era and this new age of Aquarius is if we kind of sift through the old parts of our life that just don't serve anymore. This full moon in Leo just happened saying, hey, if you want more joy and you want more creativity, the sun is shedding a light on the moon saying, hey, let's look at our shadows. Let's look at the things in our life that don't bring us joy so we can get rid of it so we can bring more joy. And then Mercury retrograde happened 2 days later saying the same thing, like, hey, let's reevaluate maybe our social circles and the way that we use technology and the way that we communicate with others. And so the last thing I just want to bring up really quickly, if you know your own personal birth chart, it's so important to understand what degrees of Aquarius Mercury will be doing its retrograde through. So when Mercury starts its retrograde during this season, it will be at 27 degrees of Aquarius, and then it will be retrograding backwards all the way to 11 degrees of Aquarius, okay? So if you have any planets in your birth chart under the zodiac sign of Aquarius, and it's between 11 degrees to 27 degrees, pay attention. So for instance, if you have Venus there, know that because your Venus represents your love and the way you express love and your partners, and then Mercury is doing a retrograde over your natal Venus, meaning that's where it was when you were born, and Mercury is doing a retrograde over that point in your birth chart, then you're most likely going to have communication issues, conversation issues with people in your love life, right? Or let's say it's your planet of Jupiter, which is luck and abundance and blessings and expansion and joy and education. If Mercury is going retrograde over that point and you have your Jupiter between 11 and 27 degrees of Aquarius, Mercury is going to interfere with those parts of your life. So if this is confusing to you and it doesn't make sense, contact me. We'll do a mini birth chart reading. I love to do like a full birth chart reading so you can understand these points in your chart. So when the retrogrades happen or full moons or other things are happening today, you can understand how it may impact you energetically. So we could do a full birth chart reading, or we could just do little mini ones. If I've already read your chart, or maybe you've had it read before and you're curious as to how this retrograde might impact you and what dates specifically you should be paying attention to, because Mercury's going to do its dance from 27 to 11. So if you have, let's say your Venus at 20 degrees, it's important to know when Mercury's going to actually go over that 20 degree mark. That will be the peak, the highlight. And then also you need to know when Mercury is going to go back over that spot, because it always has to go back on track. So if this doesn't make sense to you, feel free to reach out to me. That's what I love doing and helping you guys. It can really impact you. For instance, the last Mercury retrograde happened between me and my boyfriend's Venuses. I know it sounds really weird, but where Mercury started to go backwards, it actually touched his Venus and it went all the way backwards to touching my Venus. And literally those 3 weeks, we were like unable to communicate, and it made so much sense when it was happening, because we're like, oh yeah, damn, Mercury is like forcing us to communicate in a different way so that we can finally understand each other. So that's what I'm here to help you guys with. Hopefully this helps. Go ahead and fill out your journal and we will chat soon. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit subscribe. I'll be posting all the major astrological events for the year, as well as some other soul growth, spiritual growth, fun topics, and also holistic health and healing coming to you very soon. So thank you for watching my channel. Please share with your friends. I really rely on you guys for your feedback and suggestions, and also sharing it with the people you know and love that might be interested in these topics. So sending so much love and light to you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Good luck during Mercury retrograde.